If you have a question, you can write it, and then we'll go through the questions at the end of the lecture. It's going to be a lecture of 1.5 hours, so that we'll have enough time to answer as many questions as possible. When you're talking about fundraising for NGOs, first and foremost, we need to understand the definition. And we say that fundraising is the main step for running and managing the decided and expected programs and activities of an NGO. Fundraising is the process of seeking and gathering voluntary finance contributions by engaging individuals, businesses, charitable foundations, or government agencies. Traditionally, fundraising has consisted mostly of asking for donations or asking for alms. I know maybe some of you, especially those working in faith-based organizations, you've had to do the door-to-door fundraising where you meet with people and you're asking for alms. That is the traditional method of fundraising. Here in Kenya, you find that when an issue has come, maybe somebody is seeking medical treatment and they have not able to cover the charges, we raise funds for that. So that is the traditional method. Fundraising for NGOs is one component in resource mobilization. This is because we need more resources to run an NGO or to be able to implement a project. We need skills, we need expertise. So the funds are just one component in resource mobilization. And it is not just about money, but it's about ideas. In fundraising, you sell your ideas to people, you make them buy into it, and in return, they are able to support that idea. Also, fundraising is not only asking for money for your organization, but it's rather raising funds for a given cause. So there has to be a reason why you're raising money. There has to be a reason why you're asking people to support you. So have that reason. And it's better you be creative, because people don't just give. Donors don't just give money. There has to be a reason why they are giving that money. There has to be a cause. And you have to convince the donor to give you. So why do we fundraise? We fundraise because NGOs, CBOs, FBOs are non-profit making. So they need to raise money to be able to run the organizations. So in fundraising, you don't only look at the project, but you look at the organization as a whole. We look at the organization's sustainability, because sometimes the donor will only fund the project implementations. But remember, in running a project, there are overheads that may not be covered in the project budget. So that is the reason why we keep raising funds. And we say that fundraising is continuous. So we raise funds for community mobilizations, because the community need to adapt or to accept the project that you want to implement for sustainability. We also raise funds for other project implementation activities. We raise funds for sensitization. Maybe you want to print promotional materials, you want to do a media coverage. We also raise funds for the administration, the running costs of the organization. You need to pay electricity bills, you want to pay rent, you want to pay for communication. We also raise funds for mobility and also for consultative meetings. So the key concepts used in fundraising, one of them is planning. A fundraising plan is a document that organizes all your fundraising activities over a certain period of time. And usually you do your planning annually. So it is usually a calendar, using the calendar year. And these strategic plans generally include the campaign dates and strategies, the donor tracking plans, special events details, and a targeted communication schedule. So fundamental. When you go into fundraising, the first thing you do is to sit down and plan, come up with a fundraising plan. How are you going to do it? How are you going to approach the donors? The second fundamental component is the goals. You need to set goals. Your fundraising goals should be based on what funds you need to keep the organization operating. It is best to start with what your costs were during the last 3 fiscal years. So you look at your track record if you've been operating, the overheads, or rather the running cost, how are they? Because they don't change so much. So you look at that and then you set your goal as per your record. And if that data isn't available or you're a startup, look at your estimated budget or your forward budget, or check out the stats of similar organizations, because you're not the only organization. There are others who are actually implementing the same project that you're implementing. So it is good to note down the precise amount you need for the upcoming year. So you're planning forward. Fundraising, you don't just fundraise today. You plan ahead and then you build on that goal. If you see growth in your organization, increase your year-to-year goals based on your anticipated growth. The other fundamental component is understanding the donor. Fundraising is all about relationships and communication. So donors don't just give. You have to build a relationship. You have to communicate your idea. You have to communicate your project implementation plan. The other thing you need to understand is that if you don't ask, you won't get. So be audacious. Visit the websites, get to know who these donors are, and then be creative, be convincing. And one thing you need to understand about the donor is that they value, they value whatever you're doing to see whether it matches what they stand for. They also ask whether whatever you're doing is good for their business. And then they also look at personal relationships. There are some donors who don't fund projects, but they fund the personalities, who your organization is associated with, who is running your organization. Some simple basic truths about fundraising. You need to understand it is not an entitlement. Simply because you're running a humanitarian program does not give you an entitlement to be funded or to be supported. You must earn it. How do you earn the entitlement? How do you earn support? This is something we can learn in the deeply into the project management class, how to earn the donor support. Successful fundraising is not magic. It does not just happen. It is simply hard work on the part of the people who are thoroughly prepared. So there are calls to be a preparation. There has to be planning. There has to be a strategy of approach. Then we need to understand that fundraising is not raising money. It's not about the dollars, the pounds. We are actually raising friends for sustainability and for the success and expansion of your organization. You are raising a support system. So you need these people, you need to hold them. If it is an organization that is supporting you, you need to hold it. But it's good to understand that you do not raise money by begging for it. You raise money by selling the people your idea. Fundamental. People should buy into your thinking. People should buy into your idea. People should buy into your project. Number 5, people do not just reach out for their checkbooks and give money. They have to be asked. The question is, how do you ask for it? Number 6, you don't decide today to raise money and then you ask for it tomorrow. It takes time and planning. So be strategic. Take your time. If it is a budget for this year, it should have been planned last year. So be strategic. And keep in mind that donors are not cash crop waiting to be harvested. So you should treat them the way you treat customers in your business. Know how to appreciate them. Appreciate the support that they're giving. Number 8, very important, have a professional approach. This is because your project will face competition. You're not the only one implementing that project. You're not the only organization. There are many others asking for the same support from the same organization. So you have to be professional. If you do not have qualified people in your organization, you can consult. You can hire in or bring in consultants to bring in that professionalism so that you can win donor support. We need to look at why people give versus why people don't give. We have said that being given donor support, you're not entitled to just because you're implementing a humanitarian program. So we need to look at some of the reasons why people give and some of the reasons why people give. And when we are talking about people, we are talking about institutions, we are talking about corporates, we are talking about businesses, we are talking about individuals, we are talking about clubs, we are talking about other donor organizations. So people give because they have a personal concern. I want to give an example in case of a disaster. Let's say they are France somewhere in Indonesia or even somewhere in Kenya. And the head of a certain organization, donor organization, maybe a bank, has interest or he's from that place. So that person would give or will push his organization to support because of that personal concern. That's why you're saying we'll let alone look at why you need to do a background check for the donors, need to know who they are. People give also because they believe in a certain institution. They believe in what you're doing, not you as an organization, but the institution, the project that you are implementing. Maybe it is the institution of education. Maybe it is health. They believe in clean water. They believe in food for the hungry. So because of that belief, it will push them or move them to give. People also give because they have confidence in the organizational leadership. The directors or the trustees have a track record. Other people give because they agree with your idea or your plan. Others give just because they've been asked to. There are others who give because of tax consideration, and that is why you go checking on the CSR of certain companies and corporates. See what they give, because the more they give, they are given a tax waiver. So that's another reason why they give. Some few reasons why people don't give: because they don't value your mission, or maybe your mission does not match with their mission. So when you're doing a donor background check, it is good to check on their mission. What are they planning? What are they trying? What is their belief? What is their drive? So let their mission match with your mission. People fail to give because they don't believe the organization is stable. Especially if there's a lot of change in the leadership of the organization, that's a sign of instability. There are people who give because they don't see any powerful trustee or volunteer, because there are some people who don't give to the project, but they give to the personalities. So if you can have trustees who are recognized and respected within the donor community. People also fail to give because you ask the wrong people. So your project should match with the value and the mission of the people you are going to ask for help. Something else that makes people not to give is unexplained budget. So when you're drawing your budget, don't just itemize, but have the budget explained. Have a budget narrative. Explain every item. I want to give you a few tips to a successful fundraising. And here I would like us to note that you're not fundraising just for the project. When you're talking about fundraising, we are fundraising for the management or for the sustainability of the organization. There is a donor who will come in and just fund a project. So it is good to understand that you need the organization to keep running. You need to pay salaries. You need to pay your bills. One thing you need to do when you want to go into fundraising is to develop a fundraising strategy. I have mentioned that when you're asking for funds, you need to be strategic. And one thing you do, there's somebody who is interfering with my screen. I don't know whether, John.
Hello, can I request some from those colleagues, those friends who are, please turn off your video because you know in some cases the internet is very low, so we cannot see the PowerPoint. So please turn off your videos.
All right, thank you. Let's continue. So we said that you develop a fundraising strategy. And the first step is to identify the cost. Have a budget. And let your budget cover everything, the overheads, the running costs. Do not leave anything out. Number two, identify the source of your funds. Who are you planning to approach? Then number three, plan how to approach the donor. And you approach the donor by understanding who they are. Step number four, which is very important, document your fundraising strategy for future use. Number five, very important, and this is where many people fail, a follow-up. A follow-up to say a thank you or to look at what is happening with your request. So deeply we go into step number one, that is identifying the cost. How do you identify the cost? You compile a full list of your costs without leaving anything out. Then there are a few questions you need to ask yourself. Does your project require administration and support? If the administration cost is supported by the project, the administrative cost for the organization should be itemized. Then look at the staff costs. Projects do not pay salaries. They pay allowances and stipends. So the organization should have a budget for salaries. Equipment cost, the fundraising cost itself, and then also look at your projections. Will your costs increase? Maybe because of fluctuating economy, political changes, or inflation. Step number two, identifying the source of your funding. Are you approaching individuals or public? Is it internal funding, your own organization, the trustees or the directors, or are you going to have a member recruitment? Are you approaching businesses and corporations? Do they have a kit for that? Are you approaching foundations and international agencies? Is it associations, clubs, trade unions? Or are you organizing events? maybe dinner parties, maybe cocktail parties, marathons, walks, etc., etc. Number 3, fundamental, you need to plan how to approach the donor. Know your audience. Many people go into approaching donors without understanding who they support or what they support. So learn who the donor is through their website. You can even visit their offices. Prepare a project brief in form of a concept of a writer or a writer. A concept should not be more than 3 pages. Write-ups are normally just 2 pages, giving a very clear brief of your organizations and your thematic areas and the projects that you're planning to implement. See, work out what you can offer to your donor. Donors don't just give. They want value for their money. So what are you offering? D, use your personal contacts. Somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody in a certain organization. Very important. And then be creative. Produce approach materials that stand out. Always remember that you are not the only one who is implementing that project. There are others. There are a million others who are implementing the same project, who have the same idea. So you should always stand out. Step number 4, fundamental, document your fundraising strategy. Write out what your fundraising activities will be. Have a calendar. When will you do them? Allow people ample time for foundations. Remember to allow ample time for foundations because they also have a calendar. Ensure that activities do not clash with other events. Fundamental. And then make reasonable estimates. So your budget should be reasonable, not exaggerated or underquoted. Need to be reasonable. And then keep good records of your contacts and activities. And step number 5, finally, follow up. I'll keep saying, even when you come to my class, I'll keep saying that fundraising is all about relationships. You're creating a relationship. You're creating a support system. You're creating friends. So follow-up is important. So keep a clear record of your donor commitments and updates. Report on time. Once you receive the money, acknowledge that you have received. Make sure that you spend your money where you said you would. If the money you are asking for is to pay salaries, pay salaries. If it is to buy a vehicle as per that budget. Then after that, fundamental, thank all your donors and keep them informed. Give them a progress report on your project. Even when they have not asked for it, it's always important to just give a report, a progress report. And it is good to note that a satisfied, informed donor may give again. Actually will give again. The second step is to plan how to approach the donor. How do you approach your donor? First, to introduce yourself, introduce your organization. Who are you? What are your thematic areas? What do you stand for in the community? And then introduce your project. If you're fundraising for a project, introduce the project and then create a link. State the total amount of funds that you need to raise. That is, you're giving the whole budget to the donor. Let the donor choose how much they are going to give you or decide how much they will give you. It is good to show that you already have support. That support could be in form of kind, technical support. It could be the director's contribution. You don't go to the donor with an empty basket. Always go to a donor showing that you can be supported because you are already receiving support. Also, it's always good to just state how you'll acknowledge their support. For example, if it is a corporate, how will you acknowledge that support? Is it by making them visible? And also, when you approach the donor, make it clear how the potential donor can contact you. You need to prove to the donor that you're not a briefcase NGO or CBO. So have a physical office, have a contact person, email addresses, phone numbers, very important. Number 3, understand the different ways of fundraising. There are different ways of fundraising. You can organize events, competitions, fun days, dinners, cocktails, comedy nights, maybe a run, a walk. Another way of fundraising is proposal writings, and I'll give you a brief overview on the components of a proposal. You can also organize campaigns. Another way of fundraising is online, that is through the website. You can create a portal on your website where you solicit for funding. In conclusion, we say that how do you approach sponsors or donor? Fundamental, it has to be professional. If you don't have what it takes, you can engage, you can outsource. Another fundamental thing is your credibility. You should be able to show your financial records. You're credible that the amount that you've been given in the past, you have used it as per what you had written down. In case you're writing a proposal, give a detailed proposal, describe your project. The other thing fundamental in fundraising is patience. Practice a lot of, be patient with donors. Be patient. And then the other thing that is important when you're asking for support is the proof of previous experience and expertise in the field. That assures the donor that their money is not going to waste. In fundraising, the main component of fundraising is the proposal document. There are some donors who call for proposals. There are some who just respond after being solicited, after they read your proposal, after they see your project idea, and they buy into it. So every NGO, every CBO should be prepared and well equipped into writing proposals and presenting them. So what are the components of a proposal document? First of all, look at a proposal. What is a proposal? And you say that a proposal is a request document that explains who you are and what you need. So you're introducing yourself, You're introducing your project, and you're also stating your need in a proposal. Donors will decide to finance your project or not from what they read. Any proposal should show thoughtful planning. When you're writing a proposal, please keep in mind that your proposal is often the only way the donor to choose or reject your project. So the way you present yourself in a proposal matters a lot. Write a proposal only when your project idea is already well thought of. So we have said that proposal is actually a component in the project management. So in conceptualization, in the design, and in the project development is where now you can be able to comfortably write the proposal, because your project is already thought about, it has already been planned out, and the only thing you're missing is the funding. So don't write a proposal before you develop the project idea. Another fundamental thing you have to keep in mind is that you have to fit to the donor's guidelines. Whether it is corporates, financial institutions, international organizations, other donors, individuals, always fit their guidelines. So you have to understand who the donor is. What do they fund? What do they stand for? The first thing you do when you're writing a proposal is to match your project with the proposal. So your planning should point to an approach that fits this model. The needs identification by experts. So there has to be a needs analysis. It has to be shown. Then the community demand for an intervention. Why the community demand is important is for sustainability, because a project has a lifespan. But your intervention, the programs that you've been running, the community should be able to adapt them for sustainability. And that is something that the donor looks at when they are giving money. Is the project sustainable? Or will it die with the end of the funding? And then you look at the available resources. And resources is not only money. Resources is everything else. The expertise, the skills, the opportunity. So when you're writing a proposal, all those, the community demand, the need identification, available resources, they should be intertwined. And that is what forms a project. Component number 2 on proposal writing is donor identification and investigation. I have mentioned this severally. Identifying a donor. Even if you're asking from the state or the government agents, the companies, private foundation and association, do other investigations to understand what they fund and also the amounts they fund, and also understand their cycle of donations. Once you're able to identify them, learn who they are, engage them. And how can you get some of the information on funding? You can get it in libraries. I know there are some countries who still have those libraries. The internet, visit their website. Also parent organizations. There is also donor directories. And I know in Capacity Africa, we have donor directories. You can engage if you need one. Component number 3 is the structure of the proposal. The proposal document contains the executive summary, the organization description, the project background, project statement, goals and objectives. It states who are the beneficiaries, the proposed methodology, whether you're going to do it with partners. It also contains the project implementation plan, that is the logical framework and the work plan. It contains a budget, and the budget is explained. There has to be an M&E, the monitoring and evaluation, whether you're going to use the M&E matrix or you're going to use the theory of change. There are donors who demand the theory of change. There are others who demand the M&E matrix. Fundamental number 10, it has to show your exit plan, the sustainability, and then other annexes, maybe the certificate of incorporation, the financial report for the 3 fiscal years, and any other document that is demanded by the donor. An executive summary explains the whole project. It explains who you are and it explains the project. I like saying that the executive summary should be the last bit that you write because it will explain the whole project in short. And since today I'm just giving you an overview, I don't want to get deeply into what is contained in each and every paragraph of every unit of the proposal document. And it should flow in that order. You start, the first page should be the executive summary, the organization description, giving your background, when you are registered, your experience, your thematic areas. And I like advising organizations to have different thematic areas for the continuity and the expansion of the organization. Don't just look into one thematic area. Look at different areas. That will assure you different fundings at different times. It means you're funded all year round. The project background, what has been done, the problem statement, goals and objectives. The goal of the project could be one, but the objectives could be many. And then who are the beneficiaries? The other component is the proposal, the review and presentation. Before you present your proposal to the donor, it's always good to have someone read and correct any mistakes. I've sat in a panel where we were reviewing some proposals, and you find some proposals being rejected just because of spelling mistakes. You say that somebody argues that if somebody is not able to communicate well, how sure are we that they are going to implement the project well? In the project management class, For those who will join, we'll be able to cover project communications so that you can know how to communicate on a proposal. The other thing you look into is that you have followed the donor's instructions. To bid. After that, you can now present your proposal. You can do it online, if that is what the donor has requested. You can do it by post, or it can be hand delivered. It's good to know that you should be ready to defend your proposal when called to. There are some donors who receive a proposal, and if they like it, they'll just release the funds. But there are some donors who require that you go and present and defend your proposal. Why are you asking for this amount of money? Why do you want to buy a car? Why do you want to hire people? So be ready to defend your proposal when called to. Component number 5, and it is fundamental, is the proposal follow-up. You don't just send a proposal and sit back, because we have said fundraising is a relationship. You create a relationship by communication. So you can make a follow-up through an email, a telephone call, or you can visit the donor's office. Arrange for a meeting. Component number 6 is meeting with the donor's conditions. So you do your own organizational capacity assessment. There are some donors who request some very specific items. Make sure that your registration is updated. Here in Kenya, the NGOs are required to do an annual report to the NGO board. So make sure that is updated. Annual report. Make sure that you have audited accounts. It is important to have referees, people who can support the organizations, people who can speak well of your project. The board members, they are donors who request a list of the board members, their qualifications and their backgrounds. So the board members, the people who compose the board, are normally very important. Who are they in the society? Organization, the donors can also ask for an organizational chart so that they can understand how the secretariat is run, your work plan. And this is not the project work plan, it is the organizational annual work plan, and then the organizational budget. So when you're writing a proposal, please just follow this logical thread, your background, and then the problem statement, the solution, which is the project, sustainability, that is the exit plan. That is the logical thread of a proposal. Ensure a matchup between the problem, the outcomes, and the means. This is called internal coherence. It means the proposal is making sense. Your project implementation plan is making sense. Also understand what the donors want, whether they need a logical framework or the theory of change. If they want a theory of change, that's what you present. If it is the logical framework, that is what you present to the donor. It is important when you're doing your proposal, that you don't leave a problem unsolved. If you have highlighted a problem, have a solution for that problem in your proposal. Don't identify outcomes that do not correspond to a problem. So there has to be a matchup. Don't identify outcomes for which you don't have a solution. Remember, you're explaining your project and you're asking for support for that project. Don't propose activities that are not related to the problems and outcomes. Don't list human resources that do not match the outcomes you aim to achieve. So everything has to match in that proposal document. Another very important thing is to package your proposal. Package your project into a presentable proposal. Editing and layout. Pay attention to the language. Use simple project language. Use future tenses because you're proposing. Be concise and logical. Avoid spelling mistakes. And then find a catchy title that is going to appear on the front page or on the cover of your proposal. Pay attention to layout and presentation. The way you package it is use your organizational logo on the first page. Your logo speaks so much about your organizations. The colors of the organization also matter so much. It's always good to use headers and footers. Use clear titles and paragraphs. Break the monotony, the repetitions. It's beautiful to add the table of contents because when the donors are doing a proposal review, there are some who will just go to the executive summary. We'll go to the table of contents and look for, if it is the executive summary, they will look for the page where the executive summary is. There are some who just go to the logical framework because they want to see how the project will be run. So it is good to have a table of contents. And then print on standard format paper, the A4. And let it be a beautiful package. How do you package a proposal? Have a cover letter using your letterhead. Mention the project title, the purpose, the amount requested, the contact person, and the list of the attached documents. So you don't present a proposal without a cover letter. A cover letter is a proof of ownership of the project. So for the project itself, have the title page with logo. And in that title page is where you explain or have the title, the catchy title for the project. Sometimes it's good even to put the amount that you're requesting just on the top page and the contact persons. Also remember to attach all the requested attachments, all of them. Include all documents requested by the donor, which are not already included in the annexes. If you have photos showing your past activities, you can attach them. The checklist, there are some questions we need to ask ourselves. before we present a project proposal. And one of them is my proposal coherent? Have I identified the problem, matching it with the suggested activities, and matching it with the proposed outcomes? Is my proposal precise enough? E.g., have I explained the expected results and intended activities? Have I defined the SMART indicators? Is my proposal understandable by everybody? Not too many technical terms. Have I explained the theories? That means anybody reading the proposal document is able to understand the project. Another question, have I really respected the donor's criteria? Have I put the information in the correct place? You may have the correct information, but in the wrong place. So look at the logical flow of the proposal document. Spelling mistakes. I'm repeating about spelling mistakes because I have seen proposals being rejected just because of a spelling mistake. So have somebody review your proposal. Sometimes an organization would write a proposal and it is a good proposal and everything is, according to them, they feel they have covered everything, but still the proposal is rejected. And sometimes the donor does not explain why they have rejected your proposal. They just decline. I know it is frustrating, but I want us to just look at some of the few reasons why a proposal can be rejected by a donor and how we can correct that. Sorry, I'm having an issue with this, with the screen sharing. Sorry. One of the reasons why a proposal can be rejected is that the organization does not meet the donor's priority. The donor may feel that when you're explaining your organization, when you're giving your background, you do not meet the donor's priorities. So it is important to research before applying. That's why we said that you write a proposal after the project idea has thoroughly been thought about and has been developed. A donor may feel that the organization is not located in their geographical area of funding. So it is good to get the guidelines before applying and at least check the grants guide. When you visit the donor's website, you'll find all the guidelines, you'll find it being explained, properly explained. Another reason for rejection the donor may feel that the proposal does not follow their prescribed format. So read the application information very carefully and follow it exactly. Don't change anything. Everything that the donor has put down, is always good to follow it. Sometimes the donor may feel that the proposal is poorly written and difficult to understand. So if you don't have somebody who is competent in proposal writing in your organization, have friends or experienced people to take the grant. You can outsource. You can engage a consultant. The donor may feel that the proposed budget and grant request is not within their funding range. So it's always good to look at the average size of grants of the donor or of the funder. So all this takes us back into doing a donor background check, researching on the donor. Sometimes the donor may feel that they don't know the organization. Are they credible? So sometimes it's good to set up an interview before submitting the proposal and have the board members and other funded organizations give you credibility. The proposal doesn't seem urgent. That is the feeling of the donor, and I'm not sure it has an impact. For example, you may be asking for emergency aid, and the donor may feel that whatever you're asking for is not, whatever intervention you want to put in place is not urgent. So study the priorities and have a skilled writer do this section to make it capture the donor. Another reason why a proposal may be rejected: the objectives and plan of action of the project generally exceed the budget and timelines of implementation. So it's good to be realistic about the programs and budget. Only promise what can realistically be delivered for the amount requested. Sometimes you may apply and the donor may feel like they have allocated all the money for that grant cycle. Don't take this personally. It's a fact of life. Try next available grant cycle. So know the donor, know their grant cycle, know what they stand for, understand their mission. And this goes to all donors, the corporates, the individuals, the businesses, the financial institutions. They all have a grant cycle. From your proposal, the donor may feel that there is insufficient evidence that the program will become self-sufficient and sustain itself after the grant is completed. In your project, in your proposal, you should show your exit plan, because the exit plan explains the sustainability, the community adaptation of the project. So if you don't have that, add a section to the proposal on plans for sufficiency and develop a long-term strategy. So have a clear exit plan. A proposal may be rejected because the deadline for submission was not met. Some donor organizations sent out the call for proposals and they give deadlines. So before you write a proposal, always look at the deadline. There are some organizations that wait until the last minute. There is nothing wrong with just responding to a call for proposal immediately. So make sure that you're within the given time of the donor. So always read the proposal guidelines. And I think I've taken you through an overview of fundraising and proposal writing. I want to ask if there's any questions. You can ask before I hand you over back to John. So thank you. I've seen people who are raising their questions. Let's start with Adeola Adeshina. If I don't pronounce your name correctly, just forgive me.
Okay, no problem. Good morning.
Yeah, here is good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Actually, it's still morning in Nigeria.
Right.
Okay. My question is, please, will you be able to share the slides with us, ma, so that for further reading and education?
That we have to consult with the Director of Studies at the Capacity Africa, and then he'll be able to advise on whether to share.
Okay.
Yes, the slides will be shared to all the participants. Okay. Yes, they'll be shared.
Okay, he has responded. John has responded that the slides will be shared.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you, thank you very much.
And now
Dr. Njuki, this is Bernard. from Kenya. So good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, Nigeria. I'm having a question. Part of your nice presentation, you've captured quite a number of things which are very catchy and well, and having a clear understanding from somebody who needs maybe to have a clear deep dive into that. So it's very clear and exquisite. So well done. So my question is part of what is called as spelling errors. Sometimes you might miss a thing or two. Does it fully mean that now you'll be penalized even if you're gonna do what is called as a proposal submission or proposal writing? Is there some leniency in that bit? Like maybe say somebody reduces the penalty, maybe you have some few spellings, could be 3 or 4 errors, and not necessarily that you have messed the whole document. So are there like a leniency in some bits whereby maybe there are exclusions and it's understandable? Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Bernard. And it's a very important question. But I have explained that before you do a proposal submission, have somebody review it, because you have to convince the donor that you're capable. And we cannot decide for the donor what to overlook and what not to overlook. So it's always good to be careful. Have somebody review your document before you submit it. There are some donors who
that's why I answered. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there are some donors who don't give a margin. They just say, made a grammatic error, so they just cancel. So because you want to win them, just make sure that you're correct. Thank you.
Hello, this is Niazi. So I cannot pronounce your name, so apologize.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So my question is it possible that we ask the donor that they share the reason of the rejection of our proposal, or the donor is willing to share that with us, or it's not possible?
I had mentioned that it is good to do a follow-up. So when you send your proposal, whether it is accepted or rejected, it is always good to do a follow-up. And because fundraising is about creating relationship, it doesn't mean because they have rejected that one proposal, they reject every other proposal that you submit to them. So always contact the donor, have a relationship. They will explain to you why they accepted or why they rejected your proposal.
Thanks a lot.
I've seen several hands up. Abdul Rahman, your hand is up. You have a question? Then Tom Piccanini, your hand is also up.
Yes. Good afternoon, Dr. Joki.
Good afternoon.
Mine pertains to the financial aspect of proposal writing.
Right.
In a situation whereby one has done the narrative part of a proposal, following the rules as you have given in this in some cases, you might be a resource mobilizer for an organization which is still a startup, and a requirement comes in that you need to append audited reports for maybe the past 3 years. This challenge such that maybe...
Just a minute, please. Just mute your microphone if you're not speaking. Let's just give Tom a chance to speak. Right, go ahead.
Yes, so as I was saying, you have done a narrative.
And you don't have financial record.
Following the rules as...
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have a financial record, it is good to look for a partner who has a record, because donors look at your track record. Have you done this before? Are you credible? So if you're a startup, look for partners. Look for implementing partners. Have I answered you, Tom?
Would you come again? Sorry, something interrupted me. I think I got a call when I was still in, so it cut you off.
Okay. I've explained that if you do not have a financial record, because donors look at your record, it is always good to identify a partner.
Okay.
An implementing partner. Yes.
So with an implementing partner, would you use their organization's accounts, or how would you go about it?
Yes, because you can sign an NDA, you can sign a working paper depending on how you want to work with them, and then now you can use their records.
Okay.
And once you are able now to build your own financial record, then you can start on your own. You can start on your own.
Okay, thank you. I think that answers my question.
Yes.
Yeah. Hello.
Abdul Rahman.
Yes, please. Good afternoon.
And there is a lady who is screaming behind you.
Sorry. Oh, okay. I'll save that. I just want to begin from where I think Gyogi left. Okay, with getting a partner when you are a new organization.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So are you going to propose that to the donor, or you are going to propose that to the partner? Okay, so that you come together and then put out the modalities and then you send to the donor, or you propose that to the donor and then the donor tells you how to go about it.
I had explained, first and foremost, you have to look at the donor's requirement, their guidelines, understand them.
Okay.
If they're asking for a track record, that is when you go for a partner. But if the donor is not asking for a record, a track record of 3 or 2 years, then you can just apply directly.
Okay, so assume the donor requests for your financial records, which you don't have, and then you have to look for a partner.
Yes.
Do you talk with the partner to write the modalities and then give to the donor, or you ask the donor to tell you how you go about it?
Sometimes the donor will not explain to you how you're going to go about it. It is good to approach the donor with a request.
Okay.
That these organizations have been implementing similar projects, and we are coming in as their partner because they are not able to cover this geographical area, and we are the people in this area.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Zainab's iPhone. Your hand is up. Then Fiona, Melissa. Then we'll have Mubarak. Zainab, if you can unmute.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hi. So yeah, this is Zainab. You had mentioned very briefly about concept notes. I was wondering if you could elaborate a bit. I just wanted to know what the format would be like for a one-page concept note, because you wouldn't have the space to include all the information that you would include in a typical proposal, like so the budget and everything. How would you, summarize all of that in like a page or two?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Zainab, a concept note is actually an idea. And when we were starting, I said, this is just an overview on fundraising and proposal writing. There is a class that Capacity Africa offers on project management. And I can explain deeply in class what are the contents of a concept note. But just know that a concept note is an idea. You're just putting your idea into words.
So would you go into the implementation of it, or just an overview?
No. A concept note, you don't go into the implementation plan. You just explain what you're trying to do. You explain who you are and explain what the problem is and explain briefly your intervention. Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Karibu. You're welcome. Who was next? Was it Mubarak?
I was.
Yeah, Fiona.
Fiona. Yeah. Hi, thank you, Dr. Njoki, for your presentation. It was actually quite insightful. Now, mine is just more of a concern, yeah? In trying to give the donors feedback, where do you, like differentiate or draw the line between, giving feedback and nagging? Because there's a situation where you might maybe put a request or put in your proposal, and you're probably trying to do a follow-up and things like those, or you have maybe got funding, or you have got funding from a donor, and in putting in or sending a thank you note or your appreciation. I mean, how do you package that message such that it doesn't come off as nagging? That line of thank you and don't push it. Where, how do you draw it?
I hear you.
Yeah.
I mentioned something about project communication. When you're implementing a project, because fundraising or resource mobilization is part of project management, there is project language. And I had mentioned about being professional, especially when asking for funds or when you're doing a follow-up. So if you're not able to do it, it's always good to engage somebody who can. But what I know about donors is that all of them appreciate somebody who says thank you. And donors appreciate a report, either a progress report or end of a project report. Because the money you've been given is not yours. You've been given that money on behalf of the community where you are implementing that project. So it is good for the donor to see how you spent their money. So project communication is important. And there's a class for that. Then who was next?
Thank you.
Mubarak? Mubarak, if you're not, then we can have Noah, then Jacob, and Mary Makoha, yeah.
Yes, hello, Noah. Hello.
Who is speaking? Noah, okay.
This is Noah, yeah.
Right.
Noah,
go ahead, ask your question.
Good afternoon. This is Noah from Somalia. Good afternoon and well appreciated to the team. Then I have one question. So it's, may you share with us some samples of donor accepted proposals into our email? That's offer.
Okay. That one we can arrange with John. See about the possibilities. Thank you.
We can organize that. We will also share the recording of the webinar, so you're able to follow up those who came in late. That will be organized. Thank you.
And sorry for interruption, Dr. Njoki and Jonah. Maybe in line with what Noah has already raised, also kind of just suggesting if it's okay, could be also we have a bit of a skeleton of could be a proposal that maybe has a clear bit of introduction, the main body, and maybe conclusion. So if you having a bit of some templates or rather a skeleton of the same could also be helpful. My thoughts. Yeah, thank you. That's all.
That can be arranged, but it is important you register for the management class, and then you can be taken step by step on the content of a proposal, because today I was just giving you an overview, just a brief overview.
No worries. Would you maybe mind sharing the management class details, if you don't mind, please?
John?
Yes, Mark is coming next to share the details. Shortly, please. Yes, please. Someone from Capacity Africa and Strategia Netherlands who brought this webinar will share details on how you can register for a full proposal writing and fundraising course. Please. Thank you.
Could it also be okay because we're dropping for another meeting? So maybe direct phone number or an email address would suffice.
Let me ask him to come in right now, then we can take more questions. Mark?
Yes, very well, John. We are going to put into we are going to type in the email address that you can reach us in just right now at the tail end of the chat section. So you can be able to pick that email and be able to reach to us. You can also reach us through our website. We're going to post the website just right away. Somebody is posting as we are speaking. And you can also click on the chat. When you click on the chat, you get it immediately, and you can be able to reach us. I would like to say that we are sorry for the technical hitches that we had in the morning, but the webinar was oversubscribed with over 2,000 people. We had almost 400, 300 at every minute that we were here. And therefore, it means this is an area that we're looking into, and we're going to have the next intake coming up in fact, next week, 10th, the next intake is coming in. So those who may want to register, teams are out there to be able to capture your information and can be able to put in place. Dr. Njoki, I do not know if I stopped you in the middle, but maybe I would also want to take this time to also introduce some of my colleagues who are at Strategia Netherlands to just say hi into this room just before we wrap up and complete. We have Debbie. I don't know if Debbie is still on the line. Strategia Netherlands.
Yes, indeed.
Come in, Debbie.
Yes, very good afternoon to you in Kenya. It is still morning over here in the Netherlands. It's amazing to see how many people are interested in the courses, and we are endeavoring to make these courses very much available, even with the oversubscription. So that is all going to be organized. So don't you worry. Please register as soon as possible. Dr. Njoki, that was an amazing presentation. I enjoyed that very, very much. And yeah, please feel very, very welcome. We have the capacity to train, and we're very much looking forward to delving deep into this topic. Today, you've just really gotten an outline of what we are going to provide, and we have many more trainings as well. We have over 200, and we have a fantastic track record. So thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to helping you along your journey as well. We have a fantastic team behind us, and we look forward to walking this road with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you very much, Strategia. We also have we'll call him our chancellor. I don't know if John is somewhere else. Say hello to the group just before we continue. John?
All right. Thank you very much. Well, I'm not the chancellor, but some of you have actually participated in these programs, and they've been very, very rewarding. We've done 6 webinars in grants management, project management, monitoring and evaluation, water and sanitation. Today we're doing proposal writing and fundraising. This Thursday, we are moving to the French-speaking community. We'll have a session on monitoring and evaluation in French. Next week, we embark again with monitoring and evaluation, project management, grants management, and we'll have this happening every week for the rest of the year. We have over 200 courses on offer, and you can visit our website. The courses are in the levels of certificate courses, diploma courses, and postgraduate diploma courses, mainly in development and humanitarian sectors. Our partners, as you can see there on the screen, are Strategia Netherlands, Africa Institute for Project Management, Africa Center for Project Management, Humanitarian Web, and Capacity Africa. We have trainers who all of them have worked in NGOs, so they are all hands-on. You know, you could listen to Dr. Njoki Mitugo. She said, 20 years working experience with local and international NGO. I have over 20 years working with NGOs. So our training is pretty hands-on, and we share the knowledge and skills so that you can improve your service better. I think, Nick, you can run a clip and then we'll take a few more questions. There's still time, we still have 20 more minutes, then we can continue. And I thank you so much for participating. We can tell we heard of 30 countries are represented from the loggings. Thank you very much, from Kenya, from Ethiopia, Nigeria, Ghana, Afghanistan, Somalia, Netherlands. Thank you very much. We are trying to create a global community for improving skills in delivering services for communities in NGOs, governments, and we thank you, and we hope to continue partnering with you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We have a small clip. There's a minute or so. Let it run right now, and then we be able to continue.
Okay, can I speak?
Sorry, we are showing a video, so please just mute and give us a chance. Please put off your video, please. Put off your video. Thank you.
Please put off your videos to avoid the echoing, please.
Oh, they could let it.
Strategia Netherlands.
Okay, I propose that we can be able to put the video on our website, and we are also streaming live. So therefore, we can view the video on the side. At this point, let me bring back Dr. Njoki to just wrap up, and then we finish up.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for participating. I see there are questions. So many hands have been raised. I don't know whether I'm looking for a woman. And then men. Let's have this CPREEC. Then let's take from Rukia. Saying your hand has been up. Mary Makoha. I don't know how many can we take? Maybe we take 5. Mark.
Strictly 5. Yes, strictly 5.
Yes, strictly 5. Just the ones I have mentioned, please. Then the rest we can communicate, we can chat, we can you can go to the website, post your question, and then I'll be able to respond. Thank you. CPREEC, I cannot pronounce that.
CPR Environmental Education Center, ma'am.
All right.
Yeah. My question is, can you share the international funding agencies?
Sorry, I can't hear. Speak up.
International funding agencies details. Anything you can share, ma'am?
The capacity has a donor directory. Mark, we still have it?
Yes, we have a donor directory of with about 2,000 to 3,000 donors.
Yes.
Kindly send us an email and we can share that with you. It's mainly international donors from all regions. So send us an email and we can share the directory with you. It's a very good resource. It also guides you on how to write a proposal. So I think it's a must-have document in your fundraising journey.
Okay. So who was next? Was it Rukia?
Yes, please. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon, all.
Afternoon.
Okay, I have a suggestion that we maybe organize a forum whereby we can have competitions for fundraising, e.g. proposal writing, and then when one organization or some network win, we now see their proposal as a benchmark for the rest who are growing and learning the process, so that it can also motivate the rest.
Mark?
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you, Rukia. That's brilliant.
Thank you. So Hussein? Hussein? Or Hussein?
Hello. Do you mean me? I'm here.
We can just pick up. All right. Let's have somebody else. Okay. And then we close with Mere Makoha.
It is possible that I will ask my question. I don't know. Do we have time or no?
Who is speaking? Hussein.
Yeah, many thanks, Doctor. I really appreciate it. I'm proud of you that make this Zoom meeting. And I'm fresh graduated from agriculture in Afghanistan. I'm from Afghanistan, and we need so many projects in Afghanistan. I don't have